Senator Green. We'll now move to question time, and I call Senator Ruston.
Thank you very much, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. During the election campaign, the Prime Minister told Australians, and I quote, "Under Labor, all you need is your Medicare card, not your credit card." Minister, can you confirm that all Australians will only need their Medicare card to see a GP, or did the Prime Minister mislead the voters?
Thank you, Senator Ruston. Minister Wong.
Thank you very much, President. And I thank Senator Ruston for a question on Medicare. On Medicare, one of Australia's great achievements as a nation, and importantly for us on this side of the chamber, one of the great Labor achievements for our country. And that is why Labor built Medicare, and that is why the Albanese Labor government has gone about strengthening Medicare. We have made the single largest investment in Medicare since its creation over 40 years ago, an $8.5 billion package to deliver more bulk billing and more doctors so that Australians can see a doctor for free. Australian patients and families will save hundreds of dollars a year.
Minister, please resume your seat. Senator Ruston.
Thank you very much, President. My question was very specific. The Prime Minister made a promise that the only thing that you would need when you went to the doctor was your Medicare card. Could you direct the leader to be specific to that, because it appears as if the Prime Minister is misleading Australians?
Thank you, Senator Ruston. The Minister is the Minister. Just a moment, Senator Wong. Order. 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 Senator Ruston, withdraw that comment.
I withdraw.
Thank you. Order. Order. Senator Cash. Senator Watt. Order. Senator Gallagher. The Minister. Senator Watt, withdraw. Thank you. Oh, beg your pardon. Well, that still doesn't make it okay. It is still worthy of withdrawal. Back to the point of order. The Minister is being relevant, and I will continue to listen to her response. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Well, perhaps I should explain to Senator Ruston that actually that's what bulk billing is about. It's about making sure that we do everything we can as a government to ensure that Australians can see a doctor for free, and the way you deliver that as a government is through bulk billing. And that is why it does matter that we on this side of the chamber have made the single largest investment in Medicare since its creation. That is why it does matter that this side of the chamber has expanded bulk billing incentives to all Australians and created an additional new incentive payment for practices that bulk bill every patient. And this will mean that 9 out of 10 GP visits will be bulk billed by 2030. So yes, Senator, that does all matter.
Minister Wong, is this on a point of order, Senator Ruston? Yes.
Relevance. My question was very specific. The Prime Minister made a statement.
Senator Ruston, there is no need to repeat the question.
No,
the Minister has gone directly to.
Could I finish my point of order?
Not by repeating the question.
No. I was actually going to say I wasn't going to repeat what I'd asked. Just said that I asked a very specific question about a comment by the Prime Minister. And I'm seeking for the leader to respond to whether that is actually correct and whether she stands by the comments of the Prime Minister.
Senator Ruston.
Are they correct?
The Minister has gone to your question directly. Minister, please continue.
Thank you, President. Well, I always stand by the comments of the Prime Minister, unlike some of those opposite who appear never to stand by the commitments of their leader. I mean, yesterday we had the amazing example of the coalition running out of the chamber so they didn't have to vote differently on the net zero motion. Like the whip, the front bencher disappeared. I know it's embarrassing.
The time has now expired. I'm going to invite you, Senator Ruston, to ask your first supplementary.
Thank you, President. On the Today Show this morning, the Minister for Health, Mark Butler, conceded that some Australians will need more than their Medicare card, stating, "We never said that there would be 100% bulk billing. This is a direct odds to what the Prime Minister's statement was. One card covers it all, not your credit card, your Medicare card. Who's correct, the Prime Minister or the Minister?
Minister. Order. Order across the chamber. Order. Order. Minister Wong. Minister Wong, please resume your seat. Order across the chamber. I've called Senator Wong. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Well, the numbers I gave you, which is 9 out of 10 GP visits being bulk billed by 2030, are exactly the same numbers that were provided in the campaign and form part of the announcement. Now, Senator Ruston, given that you encourage Mr Dutton to sign up to the policy immediately, I assume that you also read the detail in the policy which made it clear that it was 9 out of 10 visits to be bulk billed by 2030. But here's the question for the coalition. Are they for more bulk billing or not? Are they for more bulk billing of Australians or not? Because, you know, one seems to discern from the question that actually Senator Ruston doesn't like the increase in the bulk billing incentives, which are designed to ensure that 9 out of 10 visits can be bulk billed by 2030. Now, we are a government that is proud to invest the largest investment in Medicare since its inception. It's a pity those opposite are still
The time for
carping.
answering has expired. Senator Ruston, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Minister, now that the Health Minister has conceded Australians will, in many cases, still need their credit card to see a GP, how does the Prime Minister justify repeatedly continuing to tell the public that all they need when they go to the doctor is their Medicare card?
Minister Wong.
The Prime Minister and every single Labor member in Parliament and Senator and every single Labor member of the party and those who support Medicare. We are supporters of Medicare. That is the difference between this side and that side. And, you know, Senator Ruston, I know you want to come in here and complain that somehow the election was stolen from you because 9 out of 10 doesn't mean 10 out of 10. But if we can give you just a small piece of advice, is this: maybe instead of engaging in the culture wars and the net zero fight you have been in for nearly 15 years, why don't you talk about things Australians are really interested in, like Medicare?
Your seat. Senator Ruston.
On a point of relevance, I'm just seeking to understand about Medicare as to whether the Prime Minister is going to continue to tell Australians that all they need to go and see the doctor now is their Medicare card.
Thank you, Senator Ruston. I will direct Senator Wong back to the question. Senator Wong.
And we're always happy to have a debate with you on Medicare, Senator Ruston. We are always happy to have a debate with you on Medicare. And let me say, I think Australians know who they can trust when it comes to Medicare. And, Senator Ruston, it is not your side of politics.
Thank you, Minister. Senator O'Neill.
President, and my question is to the Minister representing the Treasurer, Senator Gallagher. This week, the Albanese Labor government has continued to deliver cost-of-living relief to Australians and the agenda we took to the election. At the same time, the government is planning for the future, adding renewables to the grid and building the green economy of the future. Why is it important for the government to address climate change and provide policy certainty during the transition to a net-zero economy?
Thank you, Senator O'Neill. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, President. I thank Senator O'Neill for the question, and it is an important question, one around how government responds to the global challenge of the transition to a net-zero economy, something that countries right around the world are dealing with right now. And our focus, of course, through the campaign was to focus on cost-of-living measures, so whether it be Medicare, energy bill rebates, HECS debt relief, all of those areas that we've invested and will be delivering upon during this term. But also we went to the election with a very clear agenda when it comes to tackling the challenges of climate change, but also the opportunities that come with the net zero future. And over this side of the chamber, of course, we settled whether or not climate change was real some years ago now, and have been aligning our policy response to that. Earlier in question time, Senator Cash said that she was going that they were going to get better as an opposition, and there are some smart responses I could make to that. But I think perhaps Senator Canavan's made that response on my behalf when he says the coalition is irrelevant right now. Maybe that's a little bit harsh, Senator Canavan. Maybe it's a little bit harsh on your colleagues. But this is the mob over there that had in government 22 energy policies and didn't land one of them. Remember that? They kept rethinking their energy policy, take it to the party room, and it was all over. They did that 22 times in government, didn't land one of them. And then last term in opposition they had another one, nuclear. That didn't go so well, did it? So perhaps there's 23 energy policies they haven't been able to land. Yesterday we saw them all scarper out of the chamber so that they didn't have to give a view on it. That's what we saw. And this government supports the energy transition and the opportunities that come with it, including the jobs that our community will.
Senator O'Neill, first supplementary.
Thank you so much for that answer and explaining policy certainty. Electricity generation accounts for about 1/3 of Australia's greenhouse gas emissions. To achieve our climate targets, we need to stay the course on the energy transition. How has the Albanese Labor government supported business and industry to seize the benefits of the transition, and how are we supporting households to do the same?
Thank you, Senator O'Neill. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, and I thank Senator O'Neill for another very important question. Renewable energy is the cheapest form of power, and so we are supporting business and industry. I really did want to get you going, Matt. Thanks. I appreciate it. Delivering our Future Made in Australia plan, which supports Australian businesses, committing $20 billion to rewiring the nation, and providing the certainty needed for investment in the new energy through the Capacity Investment Scheme. And we see what's happening over there. We can see what's happening over there. The coalition is irrelevant, according to Senator Canavan. There's no particular rush to land a position, and supports all the efforts that have been taken, and obviously all of those opposite except for the 2 senators that did manage to vote yesterday. We noticed it, believe me. We saw you all race out. So the front bencher went, your whip went, and your person in the chair didn't vote either.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator O'Neill, second supplementary. Order. Order.
Thank you. Thank you, President. What is the cost to the economy and to households of not taking climate change seriously?
Thank you, Senator O'Neill. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. Well, there is a cost to not taking action on climate change, and we've seen it. I mean, anyone who lives in any of the areas or who watched any of the more extreme weather events that have occurred, including all the way up the New South Wales coast and into Queensland with the flooding events, saw it. Now, Senator Cash pretends that yesterday's non-vote by her entire team, earlier today, Ms Lee was asked whether or not there was any directive with senators about not attending the vote for net zero yesterday. Now, this is the Leader of the Opposition's response. Well, we're regularly in touch with senators, and we're regularly in touch with members via the whip and via the Manager of Opposition Business. Yeah, we saw it. Of course they were in regular contact because you all disappeared out of the chamber.
Resume your seat. Senator Duniam.
Just on a point of order, President, Standing Order 193.1, the senator shall not reflect on any vote of the Senate. So I just wonder if Senator Gallagher might actually abide by the standing orders.
Okay. Senator Duniam, I think your interpretation is very liberal, but I will, and I mean that in the, I don't mean that in the party sense, but I am going to invite the minister to come back to what are her ministerial responsibilities. Senator Wong.
Post-ruling on the point of order, I would make the point that the standing order refers to a vote. In fact, we're talking about the absence of a vote.
Yes. And Senator Wong, in making my ruling, I was also being quite generous. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, President. So while we get on with the transition to a net zero economy and all the work that entails, we'll watch you continue to vacate the space and leave the chamber and show absolutely zero leadership.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Cash.
Thank you. And my question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. President Trump has today indicated he is considering increasing the base-level tariff on all countries that don't have tariff agreements with the US to between 15 and 20%, which could double the 10% tariff previously announced for Australia. Minister, can the Prime Minister confirm whether Australia will be subject to a 10%, 15% or 20% tariff from the United States?
Thank you, Senator Cash. Minister Wong. Sorry, Senator Wong, if you just resume your seat. Senator Ruston.
I was wondering whether you might reflect on the fact that senators from the other side are referring to questions asked by the opposition as stupid and whether that is parliamentary.
Order. 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 Senator Sterle, just keep your thoughts to yourself. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. We did see the comments of the President of the United States and will continue to engage. I would say the advice to date is the US position is still being determined. I would make the point, Senator, through you, President, that obviously a change to the baseline tariff wouldn't just affect Australia. It would affect all countries who are subject to the baseline tariff, and as you know, we are subject to the baseline tariff, not higher tariffs, as other countries have. We are confident of our competitive position, and you would have seen this government has made great effort to open up more markets, both in terms of the China market, but also other markets, both in our region, but also the United Arab Emirates and other diversification. This is about trade, which is good for the economy. Now, Senator Cash, I'll take the interjection. I mean, the thing is, Australians do understand that. That the US administration is taking a different approach on this. Australians do understand that this—
Order. Order. Senator Wong, please continue.
I think that Australians do understand the challenges that we face.
The interjections across the chamber are disorderly. Senator Watt and Senator Cash. The Minister is answering the question. Minister.
Perhaps I'll go back to this point. It is clear that President Trump envisages a different role for the US in the world, and that includes in relation to trade. And that change is much greater than the first time that he was the President of the United States. I think Australians do understand, President, the challenges that we face as a consequence of that. What I would say is we can be confident of our ability to navigate these changes together. It is disappointing that the coalition have no interest in working together. It's the same negativity from the sidelines about Australia's engagement with the Trump administration.
Has expired. Senator Cash, first supplement.
Thank you, President. World leaders from across the globe have secured meetings with the President, including the Netherlands, Poland and even the Scottish First Minister. Countries within our region, such as Japan, Vietnam and the Philippines, have all signed trade agreements with the United States. When will Australia secure a tariff agreement with the United States, or has the relationship deteriorated so badly that there is no agreement in sight?
Thank you, Senator Cash. Minister Wong.
President, I think that perhaps it would be useful for Senator Cash to look. I think we can make choices about how we respond, I suppose. President, I think Senator Cash might do well to look at some of the agreements that she referenced, because actually the position Australia is in is a relatively better position than some of the ones that she has referenced. And I know those facts are uncomfortable, but this really goes back to the approach that the Shadow Foreign Minister and the Coalition are taking. This is a very different American administration, and we can make a choice to work together, or we can make a choice to aggressively yell from the sidelines, and that is what the opposition are choosing to do.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Cash, second supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. The White House has set a strict date for this Friday, the 1st of August, for when a deal must be done before tariffs are set to take place. Will Australia have reached a tariff agreement with the United States by this Friday, or has the Prime Minister's inability to get a face-to-face meeting with the President now damaged Australia's national interest?
Thank you, Senator Cash. Minister Wong.
A few things. First, no one has a lower reciprocal tariff than Australia. Well, thank you for that, but no one has a lower reciprocal tariff than Australia. You don't like that fact because it doesn't suit your argument, Senator Cash.
Senator Cash. The constant interjection is disorderly. The minister is answering the question. Minister Wong, please continue.
Start again. No one has a lower reciprocal tariff than Australia, and that obviously has relevance not less politically but more economically, because the relative position of Australia is a strong position. That's the first point. The second point that I would make to you, President, is that obviously we don't agree with the approach that the Trump administration has taken on this. We think tariffs are an act of economic self-harm. We have said so publicly. We made that clear on the as it was described, Liberation Day, and our response to that. The Prime Minister made that clear. That remains our position. The final point I would say to Senator Cash, this is a challenging time, and it is time for some responsible behaviour from the coalition.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Waters.
Thanks very much, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. It's time for Australia to set our 2035 climate pollution reduction targets. These aren't just numbers on a page, they're life and death. The continued existence of our Pacific neighbours, the dead marine animals washing up on Adelaide's beaches, the bushfire survivors who need to know that their rebuilt home is safe. State and territory targets combined already get us to between 66 and 71% reduction, as ClimateWorks has calculated. That means that any federal target lower than 71% would be taking us backwards. Is your 2035 climate pollution target going to take us backwards, or are you going to add to the efforts of states and territories?
Thank you, Senator Waters. Minister Wong.
President, we are a government that has been elected and then re-elected with a commitment to take action on climate change, and we are. We have and we will. And we are taking action at home, domestically. We're seeking to transform one of the most emissions-intensive economies in the world to an economy that will thrive and prosper in a net-zero global economy. That's the task that we are engaging in. And not just Minister Bowen, but also the work of the Treasurer, the Finance Minister, Minister Ayres, and many others are geared to ensuring not only that we act because of the imperative now, but there's an economic imperative, which is we want to be able to ensure that we can sell goods and services into a global economy which is a net-zero economy. Now, we're serious about that. We also recognise the nature of the transition, and like the Greens political party, you and I have had this conversation previously, we know that you don't just flick a switch. And we know that we have ambitious targets. We know there have to be more ambitious targets for 2035. Clearly, if you're going to get to 2050, you need to continue that trajectory. We'll take the advice of the authority, and an appropriate, responsible target will be set by the government, as Minister Bowen and the Prime Minister have outlined.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Waters, first supplementary.
Thanks, President. Pacifica leaders are in the building today, advocating for a strong, science-based climate target. Last week, the International Court of Justice ruled that Australia may be legally liable for the climate impacts of our massive coal and gas exports. Minister, what do you say to those Pacific neighbours who are begging you not to open new coal and gas mines?
Thank you, Senator Waters. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Well, I'd make the point, Senator. I actually spent a bit of time with Prime Minister Folletti, Foreign Minister Paul Panapa yesterday and today in relation to this is the visit of the Tuvaluan leadership here to celebrate the opening of the mobility pathway. I have spent a lot of time in the Pacific with Pacific leaders and Pacific representatives and citizens, as has the Prime Minister and Minister Conroy. So we understand very, very clearly the experience of the Pacific. I often wish that Senator Cash and Senator Canavan would actually engage with representatives of the Pacific, because for them it's not a cultural issue. It's an issue of their everyday life. They see what is happening on the front line. You know, for them it is not something that they dispute. They watch it happening and they want
Thank you, Minister.
assistance
The time
with
for
it.
answering has expired. Senator Waters, second supplementary.
Thanks, President. Along with targets for emissions reduction, Australia's nationally determined contribution can also contain other commitments. Will you heed the call of Pacific leaders that you're evidently meeting with and incorporate a commitment on fossil fuels, whether that be subsidies, exports or no new coal and gas?
Thank you, Senator Waters. Minister Wong.
Well, we meet regularly with Pacific leaders and talk with them about these issues. I think your colleague behind was holding her hands in the air asking why I was talking about Tuvalu. Just so you're aware, it's the first agreement anywhere in the world which allows for mobility with dignity as a consequence of climate change. It's the first agreement anywhere in the world. It's also the first agreement anywhere in the world which retains sovereignty in the face of sea level rise. So we are serious about Pacific priorities and we are serious about acting on climate. We know it's not a political issue. I know you want to make it a political issue, but it is an issue. It is an issue about transitioning an economy in a way that ensures that Australian children today have prosperous jobs tomorrow, because they can trade into and with a global net zero economy. That's the responsibility we take, and we will do our part.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Walker.
Thank you, President, and I note that this is not my first speech. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Education, Senator Walsh. The Albanese Labor government is delivering on its commitment to cut student debt by 20%. Can the Minister please provide an update on the delivery of this election commitment? What will the proposed changes mean for students and young Australians right across the country, and why has the government taken this approach?
Thank you, Senator Waters. Minister Walsh.
Thank you so much, Senator Walker, for the question. And I know that you, Senator Walker, believe that higher education should open doors, not leave young people weighed down by unfair debt. And in our last term, the Albanese Labor government made HECS indexation fairer. That change wiped $3 billion in debt for 3 million Australians. That was a huge change, but now we're going further. We have introduced legislation that will deliver the biggest student debt relief Australia has ever seen. A 20% cut to student debt, $16 billion in total. It will provide relief for around 3 million Australians, and if you've got an average HECS debt of $27,000 a year, you'll see $5,500 wiped away. And this isn't just for uni students, it includes HELP, TAFE and VET loans too, because no matter where or what you study, you deserve a fair start in life. We promised this in the lead-up to the election. Last week we introduced the legislation, and this week we have the chance to pass it into law. Now, while Labor is delivering, the coalition is at war with itself. This morning, Senator Henderson was out there again, freelancing in the media about amendments to the HECS legislation. You would expect the Leader of the Opposition to be steering the Coalition's position, but who is steering the Coalition's position? Because instead we have Senator Henderson, the self-appointed shadow minister, casting a long shadow from up there, Senator Henderson, rewriting the Coalition's policies from the backbench. While you undermine each other, we'll back students with real debt relief.
Thank you, Senator Walsh. Senator Walker, first supplementary.
As well as cutting $16 billion from student debt, the Albanese Labor government is proposing changes to when people start repaying their HECS debt. The Australian people spoke pretty clearly at the election around the policies we took to the election. What impact will these changes have on Australian students now and into the future?
Thank you, Senator Walker. Minister Walsh.
Thank you, Senator Walker. And I agree with you that the Australian people spoke clearly at the last election, and it isn't just me who agrees with you. Senator Duniam agrees too. He said the Australian people, and I quote, spoke pretty clearly at the last election. He also said, and I quote, "We're not really in the business of standing in the way of cost of living relief. Our legislation isn't just about reducing debt, it's about making the system fairer for the next generation. We are a united team, delivering what we promised." And then, of course, we have the opposition. The opposition leader told Australians they were on board with HECS reform. But this morning, we have Senator Henderson out there again, freelancing. How deeply concerning, Senator Henderson. The opposition have more positions on HECS than they do on net zero, and zero focus on helping Australians get ahead.
Thank you, Senator Walsh. Senator Walker, second supplementary.
As promised, the Albanese Labor government is delivering on its commitment to cut student debt by 20% and make minimum thresholds fairer. We are working as a strong, united team to get this done and make a real difference for students and young people. How important is bipartisanship to achieve change for students?
Thank you, Senator Walker. Minister Walsh.
Thank you, Senator Walker. And we are indeed fortunate to be a strong and united team, focused on what matters. We are cutting debt, we are lifting repayment thresholds, we are making the system fairer. But what do students see from the other side of the chamber? Nothing but disunity and division. Senator Henderson and the opposition leader at war with each other. An embarrassing rabble on the other side. Senator Henderson is out there running her own policy process, wanting to add amendments from outside the shadow portfolio. Were her amendments approved by her shadow cabinet? Then we have the Leader of the Opposition who said earlier today, we agree to not oppose the bill as it makes its way.
Minister Walsh, please resume your order. Order. Senator Henderson.
On direct relevance, can I ask the minister to let the chamber know what impact this is going to have on Australians who starting university from now?
You don't have a question.
They're going to be denied.
Senator Henderson, resume your seat. Minister Walsh, please continue. Order.
Thank you very much, Senator Henderson. We look forward to your shadow amendments later on. Then we have the Leader of the Opposition who said earlier today we agreed to not oppose the bill as it makes its way through the Parliament.
Answering has expired. Order. I have Senator Lambie on the list. I have no instructions from Senator Lambie, so I'm moving to Senator David Pocock.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Health and Ageing, Minister McAllister. Minister, the ACT Health Minister, Ms Rachel Stephen-Smith, has said that even with the recent and very welcome one-off boost to hospital funding, the Commonwealth is chipping in just 35% toward the cost of ACT's hospitals. This is a full 10% below the 45% Commonwealth contribution promised by 2035, with Canberrans being charged a new levy to make up the difference. Minister, why is it that two levels of Labor government are delivering a smaller Commonwealth contribution than under a federal coalition government?
Thank you, Senator David Pocock. Minister McAllister.
Thanks very much, President, and thank you, Senator Pocock, for the question. Well, the Commonwealth has in fact increased its funding to the ACT hospital system by 16% in this financial year, and it is one of the largest increases in Commonwealth funding to the ACT hospital system. And so more money for public hospitals will ensure that those hospitals are there to provide the world-leading care that Australians expect and deserve. Now, in this financial year, the ACT is expected to receive $629 million in Commonwealth funding, and it increases the funding it was previously receiving by $85 million, and that includes two additional components. $35 million, which is a one-time funding contribution agreed by National Cabinet for all states and territories, and $50 million, which is the usual yearly growth in funding. We do look forward to collaborating closely with colleagues in the ACT about delivering the very best healthcare for ACT residents that we can, because we know how important healthcare is to Australians. And in fact, you've heard many of us, Senator Wong this afternoon, speak about the importance of healthcare and of Medicare in particular to Australians. We had an extended discussion about this in the election campaign that's just been conducted, and I think everyone in this chamber should have heard the very clear message that we received from our voters, from our citizens, that they value healthcare. And so we are determined to work with our colleagues. We're determined to make sure that Australians can access the healthcare that they require, and we're very determined to make sure that we continue to build on Australia's incredible public health foundations, which have laid a groundwork for a significantly more equal society than would have been the case if those opposite had their way on so many occasions when they sought to pull money out of that system.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Pocock, first supplementary.
Thanks, President. Thank you, Minister. There were a bunch of numbers in there, so I'll maybe just come back with the ACT Treasurer Chris Steele's statement that the amount your government is providing ACT hospitals, even with the one-off boost, is, and I'll quote, going backwards. Minister, can you provide a guarantee today that by 2030 the Commonwealth's contribution to the ACT's hospital and health system will specifically sit at your stated 42.5%, or will we continue to be shortchanged in the ACT?
Thank you, Senator Pocock. Minister McAllister.
Senator Pocock, we wouldn't accept the proposition you put in your question that any jurisdiction is being shortchanged. We have worked constructively with colleagues in the states and the territories to make sure that we can get the very best outcomes that we can for Australians in their public hospital system. The National Health Reform Agreement was established, of course, in 2011 under a Labor government. It formalises that partnership between Commonwealth Government and the states and territories and seeks to improve health outcomes for all Australians. Unfortunately, the former Liberal government neglected the health system. They failed to deliver any reform. We've seen emergency departments under pressure across the country. We've seen elective surgery waiting lists soar. There is a lot of work to do. But we are determined to work collaboratively with our colleagues, as I said in my answer to your primary question, and make sure that all Australians in all states and territories get the health care that they require.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Pocock, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Minister. I think blaming the coalition is starting to wear thin with Canberrans in your second term now. AC ratepayers are now having to cover an additional $80 million for a program to transition NDIS participants and people on the waiting list for aged care at our hospitals. These are Commonwealth programs. Why is the AC paying for delays occurring in two Commonwealth programs? We're a small jurisdiction, and Canberrans are not having to fund this because the Commonwealth is delaying programs.
Thank you, Senator Pocock. Minister McAllister.
Thanks, President, and thanks again, Senator Pocock. I don't accept your characterisation that the Commonwealth is delaying programs. We expect all Australians to receive the care that they require when they are in a public hospital system, and that is the responsibility of the state or the territory government that manages that particular hospital. But we also know, of course, that those interfaces with the aged care system and with the NDIS are really important, and it's why we are investing in a range of programs to help smooth that transition. We continue to work with states and territories to remove remaining barriers to discharge and ensure the best outcomes for NDIS participants. And the average waiting time for an NDIS participant being medically ready for discharge and reported discharge has been reduced to 17 days in January 2025, and that was down from 39 days in December 2022. And that's essentially a consequence of operational changes that we've introduced.
Senator Stacey.
My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister. Now that the Prime Minister has returned from his jet-setting to Communist China, can you finally confirm what day, week, month, or even if it will be this decade, that the Port of Darwin will return to Australian control and out of China's hands?
Thank you, Senator Stacey. Minister Wong.
Thank you for the question, Senator Stacey. And I will just take issue first with the characterisation at the top of your question. It is a serious part.
Order.
Well, I'm happy to take the interjection, given what has happened in the China market for people you say you represent, Senator McDonald, since we were elected. But what I would say to the senator is China is a great power in the world and in the region, and there are many areas where we will not agree. But it is the right thing for the—
Senator Wong, please resume your seat. Order. Just before I go to Senator Stacey, this is his first question, and the level of interjection was disrespectful. Please allow the senator ask and hear the response in silence. Senator Stacey.
A point of order on relevance. The question was very specific about the return of the Port of Darwin to Australian ownership.
Senator Stacey, there was a preamble to your question, which the minister is entitled to respond to. There were also interjections. I have asked people not to interject, which the minister is also entitled to respond to. I have asked for silence. I expect silence, and I call the minister to continue her remarks.
Thank you. Actually, Senator Stacey, I was responding to the first part of your question, so if I may respectfully suggest I was being relevant. You were dismissive of the Prime Minister's trip to China. And I was saying to you whether or not we agree with many of the positions of the People's Republic of China, and we don't. We have areas of fundamental disagreement. They are a great power in the world and in our region, and the responsible thing for the leader of the country to do is to ensure that we engage. And you would have heard the Prime Minister and I and other ministers speak about cooperate where we can, disagree where we must, and engage in the national interest, and that is what the visit was about. In relation to the Port of Darwin, the Prime Minister has made clear we don't think the port should have been sold in the first place by the previous coalition government, and we want to see it returned to Australian hands. I think that has been made very clear and public. That is clear to, obviously, to diplomatically as well, but those are matters which will go through the appropriate commercial consideration.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Stacey, first supplementary.
Minister, a journalist asked the Prime Minister whether he used the meeting with Xi Jinping to explain Australia's policy on Darwin Port. The Prime Minister answered, and I quote, "I don't need to." Is it the Labor government's position that the Port of Darwin doesn't need to be raised with China? And how can you say you have a plan to take it out of Chinese control if you won't even raise it with them?
Thank you, Senator Stacey. Minister Wong.
Senator Stacey, I think that I would hazard a guess that the leadership of the PRC is well aware of the public position taken by the Prime Minister. This is not a matter for bilateral negotiation. Australia has made a decision. It's a decision
Senator
we believe is in our national interest, our sovereign interest, and we will proceed to implement that decision. And I think that is clear and on the public record multiple times from the Prime Minister and other ministers, both during the election campaign and since.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Stacey, second supplementary.
Minister, will you agree with One Nation's call to have the Port of Darwin returned to Australian hands in this term of government?
Minister Wong.
Well, I agree with the position as articulated by the Prime Minister, which is it shouldn't have been sold in the first place, and we want to see it returned to Australian hands. I'll take the interjection. You're the government that sold it. Just be clear. You were the government that sold it. So great interjection, Senator Colbeck. That was a killer.
Order.
I'll just pipe down a bit
Senator
if I were you. Pipe down.
Order.
But Senator, I appreciate you want to make a, you said a political timeline. There are obviously appropriate commercial arrangements. We have the interests of the Australian taxpayer to consider, and we will do so. But the Prime Minister has made the Australian government's position clear when it comes to ownership.
Senator Dowling.
Thank you, President. And of course, I note this is not my first speech. My question is to the Minister for Environment and Water, Senator Watt. At the last election, the Albanese Labor government renewed its commitment to deliver more cheap, clean and reliable energy to get our grid to 82% renewable energy by 2030. The government also committed to unlock $8 billion of additional investment in renewable energy through a $2 billion expansion of the Clean Energy Finance Corporation. Recently, in my home state of Tasmania, the government announced the approval of a solar farm in the Midlands, another step on the path to meet our renewable energy target. So can the minister outline the government's record on approving renewable energy projects and if there are any more approvals in the pipeline?
Thank you, Senator Dowling. Minister Watt.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Senator Dowling, for your first in what will no doubt be many very well-written questions. Last month, I was pleased to announce the approval of a solar farm in Bothwell, just north of Hobart, in the electorate of the new member for Lyons, the outstanding Rebecca White. The project will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by more than 44,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide per annum, equal to more than 450,000 trees being planted. It will also deliver economic benefits to the region, supporting more than 300 direct jobs in both the construction and ongoing management phases. This was the 88th renewable energy project approved since the Albanese government came to office in 2022. And in the 4 weeks since that announcement, we've approved a further 4 renewable projects, and today I am pleased to announce the 93rd. The Somerville Solar Farm will be located in the Richmond Valley, 60 kilometres southwest of Lismore in northern New South Wales. It will generate enough energy to power 36,000 homes and features 215,000 solar panels and a battery energy storage system with up to 4 hours of storage capacity. This project is a great example of good design and site selection leading to fast approval times. In this case, this project was approved within 30 days. A key factor in this are plans to maintain cattle grazing on the land, demonstrating once again, I know it's hard for the National Party to accept this, but once again showing that there are ways for renewables and agriculture to work together. Now, I know senators might be thinking, the Richmond Valley near Lismore, what electorate is that in again? Well, I can inform the Senate it's the seat of Page, home to the deputy leader of the which party? The National Party. So while the Nationals and Liberals continue campaigning against renewables and net zero, Labor is delivering the energy, the investment and the jobs that our regions are crying out for.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Dowling, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. The Albanese Labor government took its renewable energy commitment to the Australian people at the last election. What other support has the approval of renewable energy projects received?
Minister Watt.
Thanks, President. Thanks, Senator Dowling. The Albanese government's approval of renewable energy projects and stable energy policy is supported by a wide range of people, like Innes Willocks from AI Group, who said this approach will help facilitate the deployment of renewable energy and storage technology, or Danielle Wood from the Productivity Commission, who said that given we're relying on the private sector to make investments, having some sense of the rules of the game is really important for business. But of course, you don't need to go far in this building to find people who oppose net zero, like Senator Cash, who led the charge on the weekend at the WA Liberal Convention to oppose net zero, putting her at odds with the opposition leader Susan Lee. Now, why would the Coalition's Senate leader publicly take on her party leader? Well, yesterday, News Limited columnist James Campbell offered some views, saying that now when a previously somnolent, otherwise known as sleepy, Liberal senator suddenly starts going like Rocket Racer on the elephant juice, there's almost invariably a one-word explanation. It's her pre-selection.
Thank you, Minister Watt. Order. 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 Senator Henderson.
President, I did rise a couple of seconds before the end of Senator Watt's contribution to ask if you could, on direct relevance, point of order, Draw him back to the question, please.
Senator Henderson, he was being directly relevant. Senator Dowling, second supplementary.
Thank you. I can have another one if you like. But thank you, President. Can the minister explain why policy consistency, particularly around environmental approvals, is a key factor in enticing financial investment in our energy transition in the short, medium and long term? Why is a clear, unified and consistent approach important to ensure cheaper and cleaner energy generation will be rolled out, protecting our natural environment for future generations?
Great question. Thank you, Senator Dowling. Minister Watt.
Thanks very much, Senator Dowling. Well, investors across the board want the security of policy certainty, and Australians have spoken loudly that they support a renewable future. There's only one group, of course, who hasn't heard the message, and there they are, looking sullen and sad over there, and that's the happy ones. Last night in this chamber, we saw what can only be described as an absolute farce from the opposition. Rather than taking a position on one of the major issues our nation is dealing with, the opposition leader, Ms Lee, directed her senators to abstain from a vote on net zero. So when the country wants leadership and certainty from all their politicians, what do the opposition do? They don't just hide away, they go and hide under the doona. The only person showing leadership on the coalition side is the live TV bull impersonator Barnaby Joyce, and Matt Canavan, Senator Canavan, has made the point that One Nation last night were just playing catch-up with Barnaby Joyce. It's not just One Nation, it's the entire Liberal Party playing catch-up to Barnaby Joyce, who's whacked.
Senator Scarr.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. The Prime Minister had to correct the Minister for Trade and Tourism on Sunday and deny the US President had discussed the beef import ban with him. Was the beef ban discussed during the Prime Minister's meeting with US officials, including Scott Bessent and Jameson Greer, that replaced the planned meeting with the President at the G7 in June? Sorry, Don.
Thank you, Senator Scarr. Minister Wong.
Thank you. I'll make a few points in response to Senator Scarr on that. The first is I think that to characterise it as the Prime Minister correcting doesn't reflect appropriately that Senator Farrell was very upfront about the mistake he made, and full credit to him. There are some in this place who try to not own up when they make a mistake, and I think he did. And it's an easy mistake to make. Obviously, there are a lot of conversations between officials. You think it's funny, Senator? I just...
Order.
Order. There's a lot of graciousness on that side, isn't there?
Order.
A lot of graciousness. It's an easy mistake to make. There's always a lot of conversations. In relation to beef, the implication in all of the opposition's questions is that somehow this is related to a discussion with the United States. I want to make it very clear. 2 points. First, our biosecurity process is independent. It was commenced under, I think, Mr Joyce when he was the minister, and is not related, and went through a proper process, not related to any negotiation.
Minister Wong, please resume your seat. Senator Scarr.
Direct relevance. It was a very tightly worded question as to whether or not the beef ban was discussed.
Thank you, Senator Scarr. You made reference to Senator Farrell, and you made reference to discussions with the US, and you made reference to the Prime Minister. So I do think the Minister is being relevant to your question. Minister Wong.
The second point I'd make through you to Senator Scarr is, of course, the US have raised this publicly. The President raised this in the press conference on Liberation Day. So it's not a secret that the US had a view about it. It's not a secret that the US had a view about it. But the process was independent. It is an independent process. The decision that has taken over a decade. The first US application was in 2015, and the most recent application was made in 2019, and it's been under review since then. The review is undertaken by the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries. Are you going to? Would you like to stand up and say something?
Senator McDonald, your order. Order. Senator Watt. Senator McDonald, your constant interjections are disorderly and rude. I would ask you to desist, and if you can't, please leave the chamber. Senator Scarr, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Journalist Andrew Clennell reported today that when asked about this meeting, the Prime Minister's office told him, quote, "We do not comment on private discussions." At a media conference in Canada after the meeting, the Prime Minister was asked if beef and the News Bargaining Code were discussed. The Prime Minister confirmed the News Code was discussed and talked at length about it, but did not mention beef. So is it the case, contrary to what the PM's office said, that the Prime Minister is happy to talk about some things that are discussed at such meetings, but not others?
Minister Wong.
It's all they're talking about in the Mitchelton IGA.
We engage appropriately with officials, with counterparts and officials from countries, including the United States. We provide appropriate diplomatic readouts of those conversations. They do not include everything, and, Senator, they wouldn't have included everything under you. But I again make this point. There is no secret that the President of the United States stated publicly his view on beef. We know that. But as we said very clearly, the biosecurity process in Australia is independent, and it will not be compromised, and it has not been. And I would make the point in relation to beef producers. In fact, we have ensured through access to other markets that there are more opportunities available to beef producers.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Scarr, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Why won't the Prime Minister level with the Australian people about the discussions and dealings with the United States that led to Australia changing its biosecurity protocols to allow US beef raised in Mexico and Canada into Australia?
Thank you, Senator Scarr. Minister Wong.
Well, that assertion is completely false. It is completely false, and it is irresponsible, because I know that those opposite are desperate to try and play politics with trade policy. Of course they are. But the reality is this decision was made on an independent basis because Australia's biosecurity is not up for negotiation. End of story. That is the truth. That is the end of the story, Senator Scarr. But there is a more important point here, which is the point I made earlier. I think Australians do understand the challenges that are presented by a US administration that has a very different view about America's place in the world, by a US administration that has a very different view about its position on trade, and that is very different even from the first iteration of President Trump's presidency. Now, what they would want is responsible leaders to navigate those challenges. It would be much better if we could do that on a bipartisan basis.
Senator Ciccone.
Thanks a lot, President, and good to see everyone at the start of this lovely parliament. Now, my first question is to the Minister for Science. Cheer up, Charlie, come on. Minister for Science, Senator Ayres. Now, the independent CSIRO 24-25 Gen Cost report shows that for the 7th year in a row, wind and solar are the cheapest source of electricity. Well, that's what the report says. That's what I've read anyway. So, in the first term, the Albanese government has prioritised a cleaner and more affordable electricity system by supporting renewable energy and storage projects. Now, Minister, how does the government plan to build on this approach and deliver more clean and affordable electricity for Australians?
Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Senator Ayres. Minister
well,
Ayres.
thanks, Senator Ciccone, and President, he is dead right. Now, I don't want to trigger Senator Canavan and the sort of four nationals over there by talking about the CSIRO's Gen Cost report, which demonstrates once again that firmed renewables remain the lowest cost new build technology for Australia. And I know that it's deeply irritating over there, to have a scientifically based, independent report from a nationally respected scientific institution that somehow gets in the way of the sort of hysterical sky-after-dark carry-on that we've seen from those opposite over the last few days. And the reason that this kind of report matters, the reason that it matters is because if you use an independent scientific report, that actually forms the basis of good policy. And good policy leads to policy certainty. And policy certainty leads to investment decisions made by firms in Australian industrial and energy capability. That's what happens. Now, the record speaks for itself. The record speaks for itself. The cost of renewables for Australians keep getting cheaper. The cost of solar fell by 8% for the second year in a row, and the cost of batteries fell by 20% in the last year alone. The report confirms what millions of Australians know is true, that the cost of firmed renewables remains the lowest cost new build technology for Australia.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Ciccone, first supplementary.
Thanks a lot, President, and thank you, Minister, for that answer. Now, the report also finds that the cost of firm renewables will continue to fall, increasing their price advantage over non-renewable energy sources. Australia is also forecast to have some of the lowest cost electricity in the world. How is the government planning to capitalise on this comparative energy advantage through its Future Made in Australia agenda?
Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Minister Ayres.
Thanks, President. Thanks, Senator. Well, Future Made in Australia is about bringing new jobs and opportunities for future generations of Australians to communities in every part of our country. It's about making sure that we're delivering on Australia's potential and our future comparative advantage in our national interest. Now, I know conceptually the team over there struggle with all of those concepts. Comparative advantage, the national interest, these are all issues that they are entirely uninterested in. But we have the best renewable resources here in Australia in the world. We have all of the critical minerals that will power the future economy, not just for us, but for our trading partners. And we are determined to get on with it. We are determined to deliver a policy program that will deliver investment in all of Australia's regions and all of Australia's outer suburbs in industrial capability that delivers for the country.
Senator Ciccone, second supplementary.
Thanks a lot, President, and I'll be very quick. Now, given the policy certainty and comparative advantage you've also mentioned in the previous answers, I want to ask you this. Why is it necessary to provide clear signals about energy policy to large industrial users of electricity like smelters, particularly one in my home state, given that currently nuclear reactors can be some of the most expensive sources of electricity?
Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Minister Ayres.
Well, clear signals matter. And it's like from the National Party over there, it's like a dinner bell with no dinner. That's the signal that's been sent. That's the signal that's been sent from over there. The Gen Cost report shows clearly what all Australians know, that nuclear power is the most expensive form of energy for Australia. And well, let me come to coal. Let me come to coal, because what it demonstrates is that today, firmed renewables are competitive with black coal. In the future, now let me explain these concepts to you. It's a pity you don't get a whiteboard in Senate question time, because we might be able to take Senator Canavan through these concepts of comparative advantage, technological efficiency, or how markets are set, policy certainty and how that delivers investment.
Thank you, Minister.
But sadly, we've run out of time.
Has expired.
Questions be placed on notice.